Should students be forced to participate in random drug testing in schools? No, it's not fair. What has happened to the freedom in our everyday lives? Students in today's society are being forced to participate in random drug testing sponsored by the public school that they attend during their public school hours. This goes against all rights that people have regardless of their age. Students do not have a choice when it comes to being pulled out of class for a drug test. It's completely randomized. They draw a test, they draw a name out of the hat, and people are forced to take a drug test. I chose this article because I do not believe that random drug testing should be done against free will for students because it goes against all rights associated with the freedom of the students' choices. Students shouldn't have to conform to what the schools wanted them to do just because school systems are trying to control the lives of students outside of school. The outside life of the student is no correlation to the everyday lives of students inside school. What goes on outside of school should not have any concern to anybody during school hours. If it does not happen during school hours at school, then it should not concern anybody. It's nobody's business what happens outside of school. Proponents of random screening argue that the possibility of getting tested acts as a deterrent to drug use for many students, stated by this. This This I don't agree with because proponents of random screening argue that the possibility of getting tested acts as a deterrent. Just because students are getting tested does not mean that they're not going to participate in drug use. A drug addict does what they want. They do drugs and they get their fix regardless of the consequences. They know there's consequences because it's illegal. Drug use is illegal for everyone. Therefore, students are not going to be deterred just because they're being drug tested at school. If they want to do drugs, they're going to do them. The school systems believe that many parents are unaware of their children's drug use and thus are unable to intervene. Also stated about this. I don't agree with this either because students that live with their parents are automatically right underneath their parents' noses. If they are underneath their parents' noses, then that means that their parents should know what they are doing and what they're not doing. Parents should be monitoring their students and what they're doing in their everyday lives, and they also should be monitoring who they hang out with, who they speak to, and what they do outside of school and during school. I disagree with people with random drug testing mainly for athletes and students because they try to say that they do random drug testing for athletes and extracurricular activities just to deter away from steroid use and other harmful drugs. But they've gotten to the point where they're allowing students who are in physical education classes, PE, to have to take a drug test. And because PE is now mandatory to take in order to graduate, students are being forced to take a drug test to get out of school basically. Because if you are in a PE class, that is considered an athletic course. Therefore, they are making you be drug tested because you're in an athletic course. Regardless if it's not football, baseball, soccer, cheerleading, anything like that, it doesn't matter. Now they're getting their foot in the door because they're able to drug test the physical education students. The use of random drug testing and alcohol testing among high school athletes does not deter student athletes from future drug use, concludes a study led by Dr. Lynn Goldberg, a professor of medicine at the Portland, Oregon-based Oregon Health and Science University, MCV. Like I stated before, if a drug addict wants to use drugs, they're going to do it. They're not going to worry about the consequences because all they want is their fix. Consequences do not exist in a drug addict's life. Just because drug testing is present in athletic activities does not mean it will stop the student from participating in drug use later in college either. It's not going to push them away from drug use. If they want to do it, they're going to do it. Some schools reported higher grades and test scores for students who were drug tested earlier in the year in school. I don't agree with this either. But there was a chart done for high school students, and it was a survey done to see how many high school seniors thought that they were at great risk of harming themselves with drug use from 1988 to 2008. And if you see in the chart, it shows that students thought that marijuana use was not as bad in 1988 as it is in 2008. Thank God there has been a decline, and students do believe that it is harmful for them. Cocaine use has stayed the same. LSD has gone down just a little bit, and heroin has just about stayed the same. There's always going to be different opinions with everybody, and students are going to use drugs whether they want to deal with the consequences or not. That's the bottom line. Is it morally correct and constitutional to force students to random drug testing in schools? No, it's not, because it goes against all of their rights. The court held that such testing did not violate students' Fourth Amendment rights and were therefore constitutional, stated by Shuttler. Students should not have to participate in random drug testing against their free will. When are students going to gain their freedom back from the school systems that are trying to take over their lives? We need to take charge now before it's too late. Students are losing their freedom, and if they lose their freedom now, they're most likely not going to stand up for it later.